This video will be on the linguistics of being funny. So which linguistic means do we have at our disposal to be funny, to create humor? I want to start off with talking about meaning making in general. So not the humoristic meaning making, but meaning making in general. So default meaning making is something that is fully automatic. We, our human minds, are hardwired to do that very fast and efficiently. This image, for example, you categorize that instantly as white noise, whereas this image is a starry night. In both cases, you have a random distribution of white and black dots, but still you see a difference between the two instantaneously. Also in this picture, which again is quite a random distribution of black and white dots, it's irresistible for our meaning-making mind to go look for patterns that are meaningful. And by now, some of you viewers have seen in this picture a dog that is sniffing or licking the floor. So this is what our mind does all day long, every day. Go looking for patterns that are meaningful. And this is a process that happens fully automatically. A further illustration of how this process is automatic is this. I need your full attention now. I want you to focus on the blue dot in this screen. Keep on looking at this part of the picture. So focus on the blue dot. I will show a new slide, but you keep looking at this same location on the picture. Keep on looking at that same location and now look somewhere else. Okay, if this didn't work, you can always rewind and rewatch the video because it will work every time you look at this. What you should have seen is colors that are not there. You've seen a blue sky and green grass, whereas in fact, I've only shown you this picture, a black and white grayscale image, no colors present. Your mind has put the colors there. This is what our mind does, make a meaningful interpretation of the pattern that we encounter. Now that is automatic meaning making. In humor and creativity, this automaticity is being de-automatized. You need more effort, more conscious effort to put the pieces of the puzzle together in humor and creativity. In a first image here, you have either a grid of rectangles or a grid of circles. And you need conscious, active processing to see either of the two. This is not automatic processing. And the same goes for the image by René Magritte, where you have actually an impossible image. Normally, you would have a horse, and if you have a horse with in front of that a tree, well, then the one riding the horse cannot be on top of the tree trunk. This is impossible. You need some active deconstruction, active thinking processes to make something out of this Magritte painting. And that is what humor and creativity is, the de-automatizing of meaning making. And to do that, I want to discuss a few linguistic means that you have at your disposal to create this de-automatizing procedure. What we do in ordinary processing is we put things to the background and we take things to the foreground or the figure. If you ask people to describe the scene that you are seeing here, they would probably say something like, there is a cat on the sofa. Right? That's the default way of saying this, with the cat as the figure against the background of the sofa. In a creative way of saying this, you could say the sofa is underneath the cat. And here, the sofa is the figure, right? And that's a weird way of doing it. This is de-automatizing the meaning-making process. And it's a way of being creative and being humorous by playing with what is the figure and what is the ground. This is also a famous example in art where the black part of what you see here could either be the figure and then you see a cat, or it could be the background and then you see a mouse, a white mouse against a black backdrop. Okay, so you can play around with figure and ground to be creative. Metonymy is a linguistic means that we use very often in daily language use. You could say, what a lovely Magritte. And you use the word Magritte to actually mean a painting by Magritte. So what you do is you take an easy reference point to get mental access to something more difficult, more abstract. You use the name of the painter to refer to a painting by the painter. That would take you too much time to say, oh, what a lovely painting painted by Magritte. That would take too much time. So you take a shortcut, you use metonymy, and you say, what a lovely Magritte. In humor and creativity, you also take shortcuts. But this is not automatically processable. What you see here is an ad for a food chain that sells Thai food that is really spicy. And you see that there are the feet, the shoes of a clown. It's Ronald McDonald, the clown by McDonald's. And all that is left of Ronald McDonald is these boots and some smoke, right? He has burned completely to the ground because of the spiciness of this new Thai restaurant. Again, this is a shortcut. You get one piece of evidence, and the rest of the story you have to create the puzzle yourself as a reader. Right? So that is using metonymy in a creative way. You leave a lot of work to the one listening or seeing the humorous creative work that you did. Metaphor works in a comparable way. You probably know metaphor as a comparison where you have two domains, a source domain and a target domain. And you use info from a source domain to say something about a target domain. For example, the lion from Leuven. That might be about a football player from the team from Leuven. And because you know that lions are fast, that they have a lot of force, that they are fierce, have no fear, etc., you can transfer this information to this football player without actually using the words fearless, fierce, a lot of strength, etc. You can use this metaphor to take elements from one domain to say something about another domain. This is how default metaphor works. Very fast mental shortcuts. But in a creative usage of metaphor, you need some more processing time. Here you have an ad for Durex, a sexual lubricant, right? And what you see is a bearded biker kind of guy at an exclusive men's-only club. And the question is, how did this bearded biker get in? And it's a metaphorical question, because you use one domain, the domain of the biker and the high-class society club that he is in, to say something about a taboo topic, to say something about sex, to say something about penises entering vaginas. And it's difficult to talk about that. And that is why metaphor is such a useful way of creating meaning here. You can talk about sexuality by using info from another domain. But in this case, the source domain and the target domain are very far apart. There are not a lot of existing mappings between these two domains. This is probably the first time that you see this metaphor come to life. And that is why it's humorous, right? That's why it is creative. And finally, I want to talk about the salience of meaning. Get back to default meaning making. If you have the word red pen or the word group red pen, then, well, what could that mean? It could mean a lot of things, more than you can now imagine. It could be a pen that is in red plastic, but it could also be a pen that has red ink. It could mean many more things even. It could be the pen that I use to correct my exams, and it could have green ink and be in blue plastic. It could be the pen that I got from my last visit to Russia. It's my red pen, okay? And so on. There is a whole list of possible meanings of red pen. And one meaning is more expected, more salient, more prominent than another type of meaning. This is the case for default meaning making, but also for humorous meaning making. In the example, I am the perfect housewife. What is the meaning of the word housewife? It could have many different meanings. It could be the default reading of this, a housewife, but someone who is working in the real estate sector and this month has sold an enormous amount of houses can say, well, I am the perfect housewife. it's a possible, less likely, but still a possible meaning, and it's a creative way of using this word housewife. It could also be someone who is a widow for a few times in a row. So she's a widow, she inherits the house, marries to someone else, the man dies and she inherits another house, etc. And she can say, I'm the perfect housewife. I have a lot of houses. It's a possible but unlikely use of the word housewife, a very local, specific meaning. So this is the way meaning is organized. You have a very prototypical meaning, but also a set of less likely meanings, and you can play around with that to create humor and creativity. So how can you be funny using linguistic means? Well, I hope that I have shown that humor is a very frequent and everyday phenomenon. It's not reserved for humorists, for comedians. We all do it. Every day we use humor and creativity in our daily language use. And there are no specific sets of linguistic techniques or linguistic means to create humor. Rather, it's by exploiting existing linguistic means like metaphor or like metonymy that we create humor. The key aspect is optimal innovation. You want to hit that sweet spot between familiarity and novelty to activate a meaning that is unlikely but still possible. And that is fertile ground for humor and creativity.